Alrighty, everybody. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining me here this Friday night at the Atlanta News First Alert Desk. I'm Savannah Louie. I have your top 5 stories here for you tonight. And we're going to start with something that you may have noticed no matter where you live here in Metro Atlanta, in North Georgia. Storms rolling through our communities right now. I don't have any video of this at the time, but I do want to just bring you a quick update here. We heard the thunder here in Midtown Atlanta. I'm sure many of you across North Georgia did as well. I do want to mention we have heard some preliminary reports of tree damage in certain areas throughout North Georgia. For example, southeastern Cherokee County, one of those areas where we are hearing preliminary reports of some tree damage. This does include trees on homes. We have a crew on the way right now to check things out. We will be sure to bring you any of the latest information that might be of interest to you. You can find that on AtlantaNewsFirst.com or the Atlanta News First app. We are also going to be live tonight, 9 and 10 on Peachtree TV and 11 o'clock on WANF with your weather forecast. We have meteorologist Fred Campagna who's going to be joining us for that. He's also going to be joining us here streaming in about 10 minutes or so with more on the forecast and what you can expect here. But I just wanted to address that real quick because I know a lot of folks heard that storm rolling on through and it almost seemed like it came out of nowhere, didn't it? Alrighty. Moving straight ahead here, it has been 2 years to the day of a murder case which shocked the Metro Atlanta community. We are talking about Katie Janness, and she is a woman who was found stabbed to death in Piedmont Park again 2 years ago. Now, earlier today, I want to show you here, police made a statement today giving an update. And the update is basically that there are still no leads 2 years after the stabbing death of 40-year-old Katie Janness at Piedmont Park. Now, Atlanta police say that they don't consider her murder a cold case at this point because tips about her death continue to come in every week. Nevertheless, they still have not named a suspect. You might remember Katie and her dog were found brutally murdered near the 10th Street entrance to Piedmont Park in the early morning hours of July 28, 2021. Her long-term partner, Emma, made the gruesome discovery after tracking Katie's phone to that location. An autopsy revealed the 40-year-old was stabbed more than 50 times with the letters F, A, and T carved into her chest. Investigators have also still not shared whether or not Katie knew her killer at the time. Again, it seems like more questions than answers at this point, even 2 years after that shocking discovery. All right, let's move straight ahead here to a story captivating people, not just here in Atlanta, but around the country, around the world in some cases here. We're talking about Marvin Arrington Sr. He passed away, but today there was a celebration of life for this man. You see him right here. Again, that's Marvin Arrington Sr. He was truly a trailblazer for modern Atlanta, instrumental in MARTA, Hartsfield-Jackson, Atlanta International Airport, getting the Olympics here to Atlanta. He was also a civil rights leader, and his work secured city contracts as the leader of the city council, paved the way for black business opportunities that hadn't existed before he came into play. He also amended the city charter to allow for more black members after segregation. And at one point, by the way, he ran one of the nation's largest black law firms. Today, city and state leaders, past and present, remembered his massive contributions here in Atlanta at that celebration of life, which was held earlier today at Ebenezer Baptist Church. A man who made a huge impact, not just here in Atlanta, but ripple effects across the country and in some cases the world, right? All right, I do want to bring another story of remembrance here this evening. I want to show you this young man here, an Atlanta police officer who died in a motorcycle crash The Atlanta Police Department tonight mourning the loss of one of their own. This is 27-year-old Officer Benny D. Hardiman. He died yesterday in a crash while off duty. He had been with the department for 4 years. His co-workers say he was always kind and he had a charming personality, and that really came to light back in 2021. His hard work, rather, when Hardiman was recognized for helping a woman stranded on the interstate. It was later that he found out the woman was undergoing chemotherapy, and his help ended up going quite a long way. So tonight, remembering Officer Hardiman. All right, I am going to leave you in just a few minutes, but before I do, I want to leave you on a good note here. We have plenty of students and teachers starting the school year off on the right note. Yes, I know there are still a few more days until school actually starts, but some really impressive test scores out of Georgia. The Georgia Department of Education released their annual milestones test results today, and it shows students are scoring higher on standardized tests. That's great news. And tonight, leaders in Marietta are showing us how they've worked to keep that trend going during the school year. Our reporter, Rachel Aragon, explains.
While many school districts did well this year, Marietta City Schools saw exceptional growth when it came to reading rates. They say this is not by chance or luck, but rather investment over several years.
All over the state, the voters were contained.
9-year-old Neil Dean tells me one of his favorite books is Duck for President. In fact, he has a lot of favorite books this year.
It feels like I'm learning, but it's also enjoyable.
It was a great year.
It's been the best year.
His parents said they watched their son, Neil Dean, who has dyslexia, start this past school year at a kindergarten reading level. But by the end of the school year, he was at a 3rd grade level, the grade he just finished.
They pinpointed where the gaps in his reading were.
Here it is.
I like
Okay.
that. Yep.
On election day,
His parents crediting Marietta City Schools' efforts to improve students' reading levels. The district superintendent says after COVID, the school system was hyper-focused on combating learning loss and improving literacy for all students.
In Marietta, 2 years ago, we partnered with the Atlanta Speech School, really the nation's leading experts in language and literacy, to make sure that we understood exactly how to develop the reading brain.
That meant specialized training for teachers and customizing classrooms to meet the children's literacy needs. The results, according to the just-released Georgia milestone scores, paid off.
We see that Marietta outpaced both the state and Metro Atlanta by 5 times relative to 3rd grade reading, and that really speaks to the success of our teachers.
The district says they're committing $7 million to combat learning loss for this coming school year. The funding will cover 40 full-time reading specialists.
We are going to reduce the teacher-student ratio to 1 to 10, meaning we will have 1 teacher in a classroom with 10 students, focusing explicitly on students who are below grade level.
Parents say it's resources well worth the investment.
3002.
It was an amazing experience to watch. I mean, to just watch and be a part of it, what he did.
And other school districts across Georgia also saw gains as well in their scores from this annual assessment, including Cobb County as well as Atlanta Public Schools. For now, reporting in Marietta, Rachel Aragon, Atlanta News First.
All right, guys, some good news there to end your 8 o'clock news report. Thank you again so much for joining us here at Atlanta News First. Again, I'm Savannah Louie. We are going to throw up a picture of the Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson. Oh my goodness.
It's been a long week.
My brain fog is unreal. My brain fog is looking like this sky that we have right here. You can see clouds in the sky. Doesn't look like it's raining here at Hartsfield Jackson. Thankfully, storms have started to subside in that area, but we have meteorologist Fred Campagna on deck to tell us all about what we can expect. Hey, Fred.
Hey, Savannah. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, a little dead air never hurt anybody. All right, so yeah, let's take a look at this Hartsfield Jackson camera for just a second while I quickly bring up my weather system here so I can show you what's going on. It's pretty active around the metro as far as storms go. Some of them, though, are fizzling a bit as they get closer to south of I-20. So we still have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings to tell you about. We'll get off this camera in just a second. get the radar all set up. Let me see if I can't get something set on my end. That looks good. Got to make sure I look all right. All right, what's up? Hope you had a good week so far heading into the weekend. It's been so hot this week, and there is more hot weather coming our way. Also a storm threat for your Saturday. So first alerts both Saturday and Sunday. The one Saturday is combo. It's heat, humidity, and storms late in the afternoon and during the evening. The one on Sunday is just straight heat and humidity, as it's going to feel 100 plus on Sunday. Let's bring up the radar, show you what's popping out there right now. And we've had a very interesting early evening. A storm that was very impressive and produced a severe thunderstorm warning over DeKalb is now weakening and just bringing some showers inside the perimeter, nothing more than that. This storm up near Cartersville brought some large hail, reports of quarter to ping pong sized hail, inch to inch and a half hail were the reports from this storm in central Bartow County. And then a little bit earlier on, there was a storm that moved through southeast Cherokee County. And one of the things we've been concerned with these storms is for some strong straight line winds as downbursts. And you can see this cluster within just a couple of few miles of each other of tree damage reports that came in the last couple of hours. Looks like it was about 2.5 hours ago that this storm blew up, brought some strong winds. Reports, a couple of those damage reports are trees on houses, so let's hope that everyone is okay in southeastern Cherokee County when that storm fired up. But notice how we're not seeing too much in the way of damage reports since then, aside from these hail reports coming out of, it looks like between Cartersville and Cassville. I just want to check on this one. How big was that hail? It was 1 inch, that report coming in. So large hail, that's severe hail. An inch can do some damage. Some of these damage reports from, again, a couple hours ago now as we look at southeastern Cherokee County. Let's see. Tree down on a home on Winding River Trail. We've got 3-inch tree limbs broken. We have a tree down on a home on Glens Drive. We also have a tree down on a home on Cherricob Drive. Interesting. Cherricob, never heard that. And multiple trees down on Highway 92 and Wiley Bridge Road. So these storms have proven to be pretty strong. Right now, there are a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect. And I want to go back to our other radar so we can get a look at those severe thunderstorm warnings and let you know what's going on with those. Those are probably for large hail, potential for wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. It's interesting, though, this severe thunderstorm warning was just issued, but this storm is, it seems, starting to fall apart south of Harley. So there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. My sense is it might get canceled. It's in effect until 8:45. That's another half hour. Just one lightning strike left with that storm. So that one may eventually get canceled by the National Weather Service. And this storm's still going pretty good here in western Carroll County, not moving much. From Ephesus to Bowdoin, it looks like right now. And that's until 8:30, again, for some large hail possible, as well as strong straight line winds. All right, so temperatures are in the 70s and 80s right now. All the clouds and the threat of storms, or at least some actual storms, have cooled things down a little bit, but it is going to be very humid overnight. Interesting little storm system spinning along the Florida coast, and now you can really see the center of this circulation down here near Jessup and moving off to the north. It's going to stay to our east, but bringing some squall lines into eventually probably Savannah. So Tybee Island people might end up getting a squall line along the beaches there. And also at the outer edges of the circulation of this little storm is where we're getting these thunderstorms. And notice their general motion going from northeast to the southwest. We will be watching again tomorrow for more storms to fire up. Temperature reaching the low 90s tomorrow afternoon, at least, maybe mid 90s for an hour or 3. And the humidity is going to make it feel hotter than that. It'll probably feel triple digits, at least for a little bit tomorrow afternoon. But we're watching for those storms to fire up. The storm threat diminishes tomorrow evening. Much lower risk of any storms on Sunday. but a hotter day overall. That temperature is going to soar on Sunday to 97 in Atlanta and Rome and LaGrange. That would tie what we've seen for the highest temperature so far this year. If it gets 1 degree higher than that, it actually ties the record high for the date. Feels like temperatures on your Saturday afternoon, 96 to about 101. Feels like temperatures on your Sunday are going to be even hotter. By noon, it feels mid-90s, and by late in the afternoon, it may feel about 100 to 105 degrees. So brace yourself for that. Humidity comes down. Temperatures stay hot on Monday, less humid late in the day. The high temperature on Monday is 97, so a first alert for that extreme heat. And then the heat is a little more bearable on Tuesday and Wednesday, and so is the humidity, which will be lower in the middle of next week. Temperatures late next week in the low to mid 90s with an increasing storm risk. All right, have a great weekend. Stay cool out there, and we'll keep you updated on Atlanta News First.